I touched on this a little bit the other day, kind of off the cuff, right after I heard about it. This rule that the Jets will implement on defense. Coach Ulbrich mentioned it. He said that they have a hard and fast rule, quote unquote, that all defensive linemen will be capped on a pitch count. 30 to 35 snaps a game maximum, no matter who you are. And I didn't like it at first. And I thought about it, I mulled it over, and I don't like it even more. I really don't get this. And okay, the principle he mentioned, I fully agree with. When he said we want guys to be going 100% every time they touch the field, keep guys healthy, keep guys fresh. The violence, the tenacity at which we play with, you need to have fresh bodies in there. You need to be deep. 100% agreed. That's why I love all the depth signings we added at edge and at defensive tackle. So that, I'm here for that. I agree. Good teams do that. What I fully disagree with is this strict 30 to 35 snap rule. That comes out to less than 60% of the snaps in most games. So the question isn't, do I know more than Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich about coaching defense? Okay, the answer to that is no. But my follow-up question is, do Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich know more about coaching defense than the rest of the NFL? And I have some reservations about that until I see their defense finish slightly higher than dead last, which is what it was last year, because I need some proof of concept here. Where are they doing that at? Where are all the defensive linemen, no matter who they are, playing less than 60% of the snaps? I looked around, I couldn't find it. If you know of a successful team that implements this year over year, no matter what kind of talent they have, comment it below. I started with San Francisco. I'm like, okay, did they do this with the 49ers? And I'm like, no, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, they're top guys, close to 80%. But, do we really have any guys who are at that level? No. So I'm like, all right, maybe that's not a fair comparison. So then it's kind of a hard stat to research. You kind of have to go team by team, player by player. So I just looked at some defensive linemen. I just started with the NFL leaders in sacks. I skipped right past the top 10 because we don't have anybody that good. And I skipped right past the top 20 too, because I don't know if Carl Lawson coming off the Achilles is going to be at that level either. But I think the 20 to 30 range, that's where I looked. I think that's more than fair to expect, Carl Lawson, Quinny Williams, John Franklin Myers to be top 30-ish defensive linemen in the NFL. That's fair. So I looked at some names in that range. And we're looking at Chris Jones, Kansas City, 70% of the snaps. We mentioned Eric Armstead. He's a notch down from Bosa, close to 80%. Jadeveon Clowney, who has amassed a total of 12 sacks over the past 3 whole seasons, 75% of the snaps. Emmanuel Ogbah, Miami, only has 1 double-digit sack season in his career. Over the last 2 years, he's averaging 72% of the snaps. And then Ogunjobi, who visited with the Jets. He might still be a Jet. We don't know. He played 69% of the snaps last year. So are you telling me that none of the guys we have can hold a candle to those guys? Carl Lawson, Quinny Williams, John Franklin Myers aren't in the same class as those guys? I would disagree with that. So at what point does wanting to keep our guys fresh and valuing depth, at what point does that lead into just becoming a mismanagement of the talent that you have on your roster? Like those 3 guys I mentioned, they're too good. The drop off from Quinny Williams, John Franklin Myers, and Carl Lawson is too big compared to, when you're bringing in Rankins, and Solomon Thomas, and Vinny Curry. It's too steep of a drop off to be playing all those guys relatively the same number of snaps. And somebody responded to me, most Jets fans disagree with me again on this. Someone responded to me and said, hey, well, Quinny Williams needs to get more than 7 sacks before he should get more playing time. Well, dude, he'll get more sacks if he's on the field more. And sacks aren't the only barometer of how effective a defensive interior player is. We mentioned Chris Jones. He's gone to 3 straight Pro Bowls, and out of those 3 seasons, he's never had more than 9 sacks. So if Quinny Williams gets to play 75% of the snaps, which will come out to like 100 more reps in a season, he can't find 2 more sacks in there and be right where Chris Jones is? Come on. I don't agree with that. And we saw this last year, not only on defense, but on offense. This just standard rotation, regardless of situations, regardless of down and distance and clock. I'm going to have a problem if it's 2 minutes left and we're like, oh, I'm sorry, Carl Lawson, you have reached your snap quota. Thank you for your service. We're going to bring in Bryce Huff to finish this game. That's crazy. So my hope and my assumption, honestly, is that he was just speaking too literal. Because the thing that got me was when he said hard and fast rule. Like, if he didn't say that, I'm not making a video about it. But that kind of took me by surprise. And he cut last year, Quinnen Williams, never more than 70% of the snaps in a game. So I'm hoping he doesn't mean that. I'm hoping that, this staff, coach and JD, are just too intelligent to not, have their best players on the field when it matters most. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Is there another team that you know of that's implementing this strict of a rule? Thank you for watching. Go Jets.